Welcome to Reflect with Ed Fassio. Get ready to experience one of the world's first 100% digitally generated podcasts, where we take a step back, dive deep, and strive to learn new things. Join us as we unpack thought-provoking ideas, personal reflections, and inspiring stories to help you stay in the know. Reflect is brought to you by the minds at ByteBrain and powered by emerging technologies from Google, HeyGen, OpenAI, and 11 Labs. Thanks for tuning in. Now, relax and prepare to reflect.
Welcome to Reflect, one of the world's first 100% AI-generated podcasts. I'm Julius and Hale. Tuesday, we talked about the 12 to 18-month window. Today, we need to talk about why most organizations are going to miss it.
The deployment problem.
There's a pattern showing up consistently across enterprise AI rollouts right now. And it doesn't matter if you're talking about Microsoft Copilot, Salesforce Einstein, or a custom agentic workflow. Organizations launch, there's excitement, there's a kickoff, leadership sends a memo, and then somewhere between week 6 and week 12, everything quietly stalls.
The adoption numbers plateau. The power users keep using it. Everyone else drifts back to the way they were working before. And the organization ends up paying for AI licenses that maybe 15 to 20% of the intended users are actually getting value from.
That's not a technology problem. That's a governance and change management problem. And most organizations are walking straight into it.
Let's talk about what's actually happening at week 8, because it's specific and it's fixable if you know what to look for.
The research is pretty clear on the root cause. Organizations treat governance as a setup task, something you do at the beginning of a deployment to check a compliance box and move on. You configure the data permissions, you run a security review, you publish a policy document, and you declare governance done. But AI governance is not a moment, it's a process. And when organizations discover that reality 6 to 8 weeks in, most of them don't have the infrastructure to respond.
What does that look like in practice?
Week 1 through 3, everything feels great. The early adopters are finding value, there are demos in team meetings, people are sharing prompt tips, the energy is real. Then, week 4, someone asks a sensitive question through Copilot and gets back an answer that pulls from a document they probably shouldn't have accessed. Or a manager asks why their team's usage numbers are so low. Or legal gets nervous about what data the AI is seeing.
And suddenly the conversation shifts from, how do we get more value from this, to, wait, do we actually have this configured correctly? There is a broader pattern here that goes beyond just Copilot. It shows up in any enterprise AI deployment at scale.
The organizations that are successfully scaling AI adoption share a few specific characteristics. The first one is that they appointed a dedicated AI governance owner, not a committee, not a shared responsibility, one person whose job includes staying ahead of adoption friction. When something breaks or slows down, there's a single point of accountability.
The second is that they built feedback loops from day one. They're not waiting for the 90-day review to find out what's working. They have a lightweight weekly pulse, even just a Slack channel or a Teams tag where users can flag when something doesn't work the way they expected. That signal is pure gold for catching adoption blockers early.
Third, and this one is underrated, they treated use case selection as a strategic decision, not a user preference. They didn't say, here's Copilot, go figure out how to use it. They identified 2 or 3 high-value, high-visibility use cases for each team, made sure those use cases were set up to succeed, and built early wins that other teams could see and want to replicate.
The difference between a 15% adoption rate and a 70% adoption rate almost always comes down to whether those first use cases were selected carefully. If the first thing an employee tries with AI produces a mediocre result, they write the whole thing off. If it saves them an hour on something they hated doing, they're a convert.
And there's a fourth thing. The organizations that scale AI effectively invest in manager enablement specifically. Not just end-user training, manager training. Because if a manager is privately skeptical about AI or doesn't know how to model its use, their entire team will take that cue. You can run all the end-user training you want. If the manager isn't bought in, the adoption dies at the team level.
So where does that leave organizations right now? Because a lot of people listening to this are probably somewhere in that week 6 to 12 window.
If you're in that window and feeling the momentum stall, the first thing to do is honest diagnosis. Pull your actual usage data. Not how many licenses do we have active, but how many distinct users are using AI tools to complete a real workflow task at least twice a week. That number will tell you where you actually are versus where your rollout plan assumed you'd be.
If that number is below 30%, you have an adoption problem that governance alone won't fix. You need to go back to use case basics. Find the workflows where AI demonstrably works, where time savings are measurable and the output quality holds up, and rebuild adoption around those specific workflows rather than trying to push broad general-purpose usage.
If you're above 50% active usage but hitting governance friction, that's actually a better problem to have. It means people want to use the tools, and you need to clear the path. That's a solvable infrastructure problem, not a culture problem.
And if you haven't started yet, here's the good news. You get to learn from everyone else's Week 8 mistakes before you make them. The playbook exists now. The failure modes are documented. There is genuinely no reason to walk into an enterprise AI deployment in 2026 without a governance framework in place from day one.
The window Suleiman described is real, but the window only helps you if your organization can actually operationalize AI at scale, not just license it. Thanks for listening to the Reflect podcast, where we're telling the future. Are you in it? Visit reflectpodcast.com and share your story.
Week 8. That's where the gap between leaders and laggards opens up. Don't let it be your Week 8. See you Saturday.
In the cyber ocean of online voices and recycled content, something different has arrived. Reflect isn't just another podcast, it's the future of storytelling, powered entirely by AI. From curating data to assembling thought-provoking ideas, we've redefined how journeys are told. Reflect is a podcast that thinks, learns, and evolves with each episode. Every tale, every insight, crafted by the most advanced AI technologies. A podcast that disrupts the industry, breaking free from traditional formats, taking you on an entirely new experience. So tune in now and reflect. We're telling the future.